Okay, Tirth. Do you think we should do some science? Talk about some science?
I'm ready for it.
Before we get started, just I want to give the listeners a peek behind the curtain here.
Yes.
So Tirth and I, we don't prepare for this at all. Like, not at all. We probably should have pre-show meetings.
We should.
But we don't. And the only thing we do is, like, a day or two before we record, we text each other the first author of the paper we're about to do, just to make sure we don't do the same paper.
Yeah. Sometimes even on the same day.
Yeah. But today, we forgot to do that, and we didn't find out until like 2 minutes before we started recording that we picked the same paper. Somehow, how does that happen? How did that happen?
Great minds think
That's
alike.
Insane. Yes, but also idiots think alike, which is, I think, the conclusion we should draw. I think that's the null hypothesis here. So we both picked the same paper, but I think it's going to work out because I actually have a follow-up to this paper, which I can talk about. So, Tirth, you want to start us off
Let's do
on
it.
this paper? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. All right. For the benefit of the listeners, this paper is titled An Analysis of the Forces Required to Drag Sheep Over Various Surfaces. This was published in the Journal of Applied Ergonomics.
Very good journal.
So here's the premise of this study, okay? They're basically saying that sheep are heavy. There's a lot of shearing of sheep going on for their wool, and there's a lot of occupational and safety hazards. So there's Applied Ergonomics. This is from the year 2002. It was published by a bunch of people in Australia.
Australia. Yep. Sheep shearing makes sense. In Texas, we call Australia the land of the shorn sheep. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think Australians call Texas then?
The Australia of America.
That's so true.
It basically is. Yeah.
That's so perfect.
Yeah.
So they're at the University of Ballarat. I hope I'm pronouncing this
correctly. Great
university.
Fantastic university.
I'll take your word for it. And I'll set up the motivation behind this study, okay?
Please.
So, as you've already pointed out, Australia is the land of shorn sheep.
Yep.
And the authors note, quite importantly, that there's some occupational health and safety hazards associated with sheep shearing.
Okay.
And then they detail various aspects of sheep shearing, which can cause occupational and safety hazards. And they talk about how people who work in the field in this industry, I guess they're called sheep shearers. Is that right?
That's right.
They can suffer from low back pain. They get knee pain. They suffer other injuries and things of that sort. And for the uninitiated, the authors actually very helpfully go on and explain the various steps involved in shearing sheep and how these can lead to different injuries. All right, so you ready for this?
Ready for what?
Well, the authors list all the steps it takes to shear a sheep.
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay, so the first step, obviously, is to catch the sheep.
Yeah.
So they're saying you have to catch the sheep, then you have to tip the sheep.
Yes. Yep.
Well, I don't know if they're tipping the sheep 15% or 20%, but they're tipping the sheep.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Usually, well, in Texas, we usually tip the sheep after, but it's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have some experience. I want to hear more about this.
Please. Oh, what? Okay. Yeah. Look, Tirth. Australia might have invented sheep shearing, but in Texas, we perfected it.
Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Well, should I hear your experience first before I list the steps they talk about?
Tirth, have you never partaken in sheep shearing?
Of course not.
What?
I admire sheep from a distance.
No. Okay. Well, okay.
In fact, a lot of times I confuse them for clouds.
Let me blow your mind real quick, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. In Texas, I went to high school in Texas, right?
I know, yes.
My high school was largely agrarian. Just outside of Houston.
The famous farmlands of Houston.
No, you'd be surprised. Hey, Houstonians need food. Astronauts need food. So there was a huge barn on campus because we had a very big Future Farmers of America program, FFA.
Okay, yeah.
Big fan of the program. And in lieu of dissecting, your frog or whatever in biology class, we got to shear sheep.
No.
Yeah.
This can't be true.
No, please.
This is a story from the 2000s. We're not talking about the 1950s.
No. What? Look, we still need wool. We need wool for a lot of things, okay? And this is, this is good experience for high school students.
I see.
A group of us would tackle a sheep and then take out some razors and shear it for biology credit.
What?
Yeah, man.
How many people does it take to shear one sheep?
Well, I mean, there weren't that many sheep, and there were a lot of students. So, yeah, we grouped up, groups of 10 or so. Yeah. Surround a sheep. Tackle it down, and shear it. Yeah.
Wait, so, okay. What were your steps? Let me hear them before I list the author's steps.
It's the same steps. Okay?
It is?
Yeah, it's the same steps. It's catching the sheep, tipping the sheep, dragging the sheep, shearing the sheep, and then guiding the sheep away.
Wow.
Same 5 steps.
That's literally what they say here.
This is the international standard for sheep shearing, okay?
Is that right?
This is recognized by the International Standards and Units Committee. The place in France where they
they measure the kilogram. Yeah,
where they have a vault.
Like a
a vault.
Yeah.
With the kilogram inside, right? That's the standard kilogram.
Yes.
In Australia, they have an even bigger vault with 5 steps of sheep shearing inside. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's guarded by Swiss guards.
Why? Wait a minute. Why are the Swiss guards in Australia?
It's been blessed by the Pope. This is a big deal, man. This is a big deal. Yeah, the 5 steps of sheep shearing.
I'm learning so
much. Yeah.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's delve into this more then, okay?
Go ahead.
So you've already helpfully listed the steps of sheep shearing. The authors also then go on and they cite a bunch of sources, and they say the most common injuries, as you may expect, will be fractures and sprains, contusions and burns. Not sure how that's happening, but that's okay. The most common body location was hand, finger, and thumb, and back.
Okay.
They're all roughly about the same frequency, like 19 and 22%. They're also saying that Australian shearers, for whatever reason, suffer injuries at 6 times the all-industry average.
That's interesting.
So I'm not sure if they're doing something different in Australia. Maybe it's harder. You know what I think it is? I think it's harder to shear sheep when you're upside down.
Yes. I think that's that. Yeah, mate. But how good is that weather? How good is that weather down in Australia, huh, mate?
Very good. A plus.
Yeah. Nah.
All right. So anyway, being the helpful ergonomists that they are, they said, you know what? Can we come up with the standardized method for sheep shearing? And can we try and quantify which surfaces are better, which methods are better?
So they've identified out of the 5 steps, one single step that's the most harmful, right?
Yes. Yeah. The dragging part.
Right. Which is bad for your back.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'll tell you the setup here. They
wanted to make the dragging part easier.
Yeah. And they wanted to see what the minimum and the maximum force required to drag a sheep was. And if there was a difference with the type of surface they used and the angles and so on and so forth. It gets into a lot of physics. We don't really need to get into that. But there's enough qualitative details here.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, one of the things I liked about this study is the very high number of trials and how systematic they were with this sort of setup.
They were. Mm-hmm.
So, as you know, they chose 8 men. And what they had these guys do is that they gave them 5 types of flooring material. So there's wood battens oriented parallel, wood battens oriented at right angles. So these are slats of wood.
Okay.
And then the same setup with plastics, either parallel or perpendicular to the direction of the drag. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, they just had steel mesh.
Okay. So these are like 5 different types of flooring that they drag sheep across to try to reduce the amount of force required.
Yes. And then they're with each trial, with each person, they're measuring the drag force. So they're looking at the angle and all of that to calculate the drag using like equations that people may have learned in physics in college.
Mm-hmm.
And then they used 5 sheep. So total, what it ended up being is that there were 8 shearers, 5 sheep, 5 surfaces, and they had each person do 50 trials each.
Okay.
For a total of 400 trials. Well, let's just pause for a second. This is a very high number of trials. Even the best mouse behavior studies don't really reach this kind of number.
These people are very good scientists.
Yes,
very good
impressed.
Scientists.
Very impressed. What I found interesting is if you actually go along this, there's some figures of the sheep being dragged.
I've seen them. The sheep, you can see the face of the sheep and they look very content.
They look very happy. I mean, this one here
some
looks
very content sheep. They're living the life. It's like a slide. It's like they're on the slide. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, they basically made a sheep amusement park for them. I mean, can you imagine you're a sheep living on this farm and just out of the blue, they're like, okay, we're getting dragged
just gonna
drag you. 10 times a day.
PETA, if you have any problems out there, PETA, with the study, just know the sheeps are enjoying it. All right, this is for their enjoyment.
No sheep were harmed in the
Absolutely not.
And then there's also a little cartoon diagram of a man trying to drag the sheep. It shows the ideal form, which actually looks very similar to what the ideal deadlifting form is. Now, I don't know if you ever deadlifted in your life, Lou, but I'm somewhat of a lifter myself.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's right.
How much do you deadlift?
We don't need to get into numbers. I don't want to embarrass people out there.
Okay, sure.
This is all about positivity, okay?
I believe
it's
you.
not about competition. It's not about competition.
No,
okay?
Of course not. No.
So anyway, let's delve into the results here, okay?
Okay. So just to recap, each of the 8 shearers dragged 5 sheep across 5 different types of flooring 2 times each.
That's correct.
For a total of 50 drags per person.
50 trials per
50 trials per person, 400 trials overall. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Across 5 different flooring types. All right.
Correct.
Tell us the results.
Yes. Okay. So the results are, so they're comparing, so just remember, they're comparing the different surfaces and they're trying to calculate which surface has the lowest drag, which surface has the highest drag. Well, what they found is that the lowest drag was on the wooden surface, parallel to the direction of the drag. Okay. And maybe not surprisingly, the highest drag was at the steel mesh. Okay. You can imagine maybe the steel is not as smooth, or there's a lot of friction when you're dragging the sheep across it. Yeah.
So there's the problem with my high school experience. We dragged our sheep on steel mesh. Yeah.
Is that right?
That's a problem. Yeah.
That was a problem.
That's why we're suffering from back pain. I see. We should have done wood flooring.
Yeah.
Why do we have steel mesh flooring? I don't even understand.